Hello and welcome to Biographical Conversations. I'm Jay Holloway, and today we're talking with Nathaniel Hines. Mr. Hines, thank you for letting us have these conversations with you today, sir.
Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Mr. Hines has lived a distinguished life, and we're honored to be able to talk with him today about his life of coming up on a century. And he's a native of Bladenboro in Bladen County here in North Carolina. Born in 1920. And Mr. Hines, we'd like to start off with some of your earliest memories. You were 5 years old when your mother passed, and that's one of your earliest memories. Can you tell us about that?
Only thing I remember about my parental mother was when they had the funeral. I was 5, as you stated, and I remember being in the church and seeing her in the corpse, and that was when I realized that my mother had passed. Yeah. But after we got used to not having a mother there for some time, and my father remarried about 2 years after she passed, and we had a stepmother, Sarah Flowers Hines. She was just like a mother to me because I'm 7 years old, and I had a brother that was 9 and a brother that was 5, my baby brother. And we didn't accept her as we should have, I guess, but being young and not knowing that you're supposed to love everybody, and we were kind of apprehensive about having a new mother in the house, and but we finally got used to her, and we never know the difference that she wasn't the one that was our real mother, because she did everything a real mother would do for a child, and we appreciated that. And especially the older I got, the more I appreciate it, because it's not easy for a child at my age, 5 years old, to lose a mother and accept someone else as a mother. But we did, and she did all she could for us and everything that a mother would do. And I don't know what we would have done, because my father was, I think he was unable to take care of us as being so young, the 3 of us. But she reared us up, and so we got where we could go to school. At least I did when I got to school, because my older brother was in school 2 years before I was, because he was 2 years older than I was. He was born in 1918. My baby brother was born in 1922. So I was a little middle class there. But we had a normal life with a father that had several acres that his father, my grandfather, Needham, had left each one of his children. They had 15 children, my grandmother did, yeah. But I didn't know my grandfather that much. I knew my grandmother very well because I was old enough to go and take her help her out of the bed and put her into a rocking chair and bring her to the porch. They call it the front porch. Mm-hmm. And that's where she would sit for several hours or more. And I got to know her very well. And when she passed, that hurt me just as much, or was just as of a loss as it was when I lost my mother. But and we grew up as 3 little brothers, because out of my normal family, there were 10 of us. One was stillborn, a child with that I don't know, and nobody knew, because that became as a deceased child, born to birth. And in I was born in 1920, but coming up in 1927, 28, 29, 30, 31. During those years, we had an epidemic that came through North Carolina, and I think somebody told me it was all over the country almost. It's what they call the tuberculosis. It was an epidemic disease, and it wiped out all of my family, but one sister, 3 brothers, and my father, 5 of us. So the other, we had 10, but well, this is 9. The other four were passed on. So it wasn't easy, to adapt to that situation, but we did. And
Let's talk about the names. Give me your father and your marriage
my
name.
father was named Cicero, Ceciro, Cicero Hines, and my mother was Amanda Monroe Hines.
And you also
And-
talked about your grandparents.
And
their
my
name.
my grandfather was Needham, Needham, Needham Hines, and my grandmother was Georgiana Hines. And my grandfather was actually, just about to tell you this too, he was sold as a slave, my father say, in Fayetteville slave house that's still there. If you go to Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, you see it sitting in the center of the street in Fayetteville. But my father say he was sold off there to, I guess, the person, slave master probably was Hines, because I think that's where we got our name from. So
this is your grandfather.
my grandfather, yeah. And we after we started living in Bladenboro, which was a small little town, my grandfather was apparently given this land. At that time they said 40 acres and a mule they wanted to give all the slaves. So apparently he got the 40 acres and a mule, and that's where we lived on that property.
Not all of us got that.
Yeah, no, everybody didn't get
Right.
it, but we did. Apparently got it, and there was enough land for 15 children, really, when it was divided. And my father built a house not there, but he built it away from there. But later on in life, he built a house on that property, which I have a plot there. Not a plot, but 1.88 acres there now.
Wow.
And I'm paying taxes on it too. You have to do that. But I lived there until I got out of high school. I went to school at the Booker T. Washington. As a matter of fact, they're having a reunion tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to try to be there.
Now you have some colleagues that are still coming from that same class.
But this is the high school reunion. Yeah.
From the same year you graduated.
First same school I graduated from.
So are there people coming from your class?
Now, that's what I will find out when I get there, because I hope I'm not the only one there. But most of them have passed on.
Yeah.
Most of them have passed on.
And you graduated in what year?
In the year of 1940. I was supposed to graduate in 39, but I found a little job and I worked that year. And I was sitting at the job railway, putting the express on the train, and waiting for the train to come in and all that. And I was sitting there. I knew I had missed 1 year. It was 9 till 11 then, but now it's a 12-year school. And something just rang in my mind, said, "Are you going to do this the rest of your life?" And I said, I'm going back to school in September. That's when I had school start. So I went back to school and finished with my baby brother. We both graduated at the same time. So after I graduated from Booker T. Washington High School there, we didn't find a job. One of my friends and we were sitting around talking. We said, let's go into the military. And that's when we had to get our parents to sign for us because we were less than 21. I was 19 and he was 19. And you had to be 21 before you could go on your own, So I went in and we stayed together for part of our training. And then he left. We split from, he went one way and I went another. I went to Texas and he went to another place to get further training for the military. And we ended up at different points in Europe too. After the war started, I went to France with another outfit. Wasn't the one that I really trained for, but they put us in the supply organizations that had to furnish the logistics for the military. So all that training we got, I didn't use it. It was for shooting down planes. Act they call it act. So I spent 4.5 years in the military, and while I was in there, I was sent to Europe right after the invasion in Normandy. And I wasn't in the invasion, but I was right behind them, and got a chance to see Germany, Belgium, some of the France, Belgium, all these countries. and we had the German soldiers parachuted behind the line and killed some of our members in my outfit in sleeping tents.
Wow.
And that's the only loss that I saw
That you saw.
while I was there. But there was plenty of it before me.
By the way, have you visited the World War II Memorial in D.C.?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was there. I was there. My name is in there too.
Yeah. What'd you think about that?
I think it's was a little late getting there, but they got it. They got it. It's just fabulous.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. Yeah.
So you're part of what they call the greatest generation.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah. So you most of your colleagues have passed on now, and
Yes.
let me. You gave a great overview of growing up and then going into the military, but I want to ask you about race relations during that time, because you got the Roaring Twenties, you got the 30s, and the Depression and the war going on, and Jim Crow. Talk about your experiences at that time as a young black boy and man in North Carolina and race relations.
You know, I didn't realize, I guess, because my father had a little place that during the Depression, he grew his food and vegetables and all that sort of thing. So we only had to get flour for, buy flour, And I didn't come in contact. We worked for the whites, for tobacco and all that stuff, but I didn't ever have any until I got in my teens. We had one of our black associates had a little job washing cars, and a group of us got together and we were teasing him about it, not realizing that we were teasing the man that's trying to work and we don't. And so one of the white policemen came up and said for us to move off, get away from, let the man work, And I was a little slow leaving. I didn't, that was the first orders I had from a white man, that I realized.
Right.
So he said, "Yo, you don't want to go, huh? You come on, go with me." So they took me and locked me up.
Wow.
Locked me up. I got my cousin got me out for $7.50. So they just dropped the whole thing because it was just because we were interfering with the young man, black man was working. But when I got in the military, you don't know, but I'm telling you, we didn't have any white officers. We had black sergeant, white officers, and we were lined up one day in France to go to the post office. We had a line come together and it single off. I forgot. So there was a white guy in front of me. One of the white soldiers that enlisted me was in front of me, and he was talking to a friend, one of his white friends. And since he wasn't moving with the line, I stepped around him and went in front of him. And I heard him tell the other soldier, say he can get in front of me over here, but we wait till we get him back to the States.
Wow.
And I could have started a riot right there, but I didn't. I just heard it and it just went out my ears, Went on and got what I had to get and all that stuff.
So how did you feel coming back? I in a previous capacity, we interviewed John Hope Franklin, and he talked about on a train coming from Greensboro to Durham, and on the train they would have the baggage in one half and people could sit in the other half. But there were 5 German prisoners of wars in a full car. It was just 5 of them, but it's about 40 or 50 black people in a half a car sharing it. So Franklin said to the white conductor, he said, I wasn't trying to integrate or desegregate. I was just saying, why don't you move these 5 white guys back here and let all of us go there and everybody would be comfortable. And he said, these are German prisoners of war. We can't do that. And he said, it's a shame to have to come back here and they treat white enemies better than they treat citizens. Yeah. How did you feel coming back here and having to deal with that in your own country?
It wasn't easy to stay out of trouble, I should say, because you want to fight back, but you knew we were the odds. We didn't have to fight with nothing, But we knew we probably wouldn't win because they were outnumbered us, But it was very aggravating, and we put up with a lot of things that the average person now wouldn't put up with. They'd rather die than to do it, fight back until something happened, whether they
Right.
died or lived, you know. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, really. And then, especially when you're walking around and the schools were separated. I had to go catch a bus and go to high school, and there was a high school right there in the community, which was all white. And I had to go to Clarkton, where there's a black high school. So that was we got used to it because it was what was happening then, and that's what we tried to adjust to it, you know. But we weren't happy. We weren't all happy, and that's just, you know, it has a lot of devastating on the minds of the young people, and that's why you may have things going on now that probably would not have gone on if they'd had a normal life, you know. Then had to go through those changes.
So let's move down to the 40s.
Okay.
You came back after the war and you got married.
No, I got married while I was in the
And
military.
while you're in the military? Oh, okay.
In the
All right.
military.
Tell us about that.
And I got married and got ready to go overseas. I had my friend, I never forget, Oscar Caby, I will never forget. I was went to New York, and I stayed with him because we left from 42nd Street in New York on the boat. And my wife came up to visit me, and I didn't get to see her.
Wow.
Before I went overseas. But I got to see her when I came back. Because I did not, nothing happened to me over there, only just war, and I had the war. But I got a lot of experience by going to different countries and things like that, and I thought that was a plus for me. And I had one white gentleman ask me. He said, because I tried to use my high school English, you know, trying to use it properly. He said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from North Carolina." He said, "Well, you don't sound like a North Carolinian." Because I was trying to use my English, you know. And he couldn't understand why there's a black guy that is talking properly, you know? Or at least trying. Anyway. But that was a experience for me, you know.
Okay.
They say that he thought I was from New York.
Right.
But I spent 4.5 years in there, and then I came back, and my wife encouraged me to go to college under the GI Bill. And so I took up on it. I went to Greensboro, and I checked in, and I made an application there. So when I
that
got
was A&T.
A&T, North Carolina. It was called a long time ago, A&T. Wasn't called a university, it was called just a college. You know. But I matriculated with the classes and things like that, and we got to the point where that we had to make a report, you know. And I wrote about Woodrow Wilson in my thing, and there were 3 in the class got A's, and I was one of them. So I said, well, I'm not doing bad. I said, I'm going on from here. So I graduated in 1950. Was supposed to graduate in 51, but it was a subject I thought I had taken. I didn't need or whatever, you know. And they said, well, you can't graduate today. You got to take this subject. So I graduated with the class of 52. But I was at work then because the federal government came down and recruited some students from the school for work. And I was one of them. And when I went to Washington to work, I didn't take my family. I took them back to Bladenboro. And then when I got the job and got a place for them to stay, I moved them there with me, you know. So that's where we stayed for 14 years. And I lost my wife there. She passed while I was there. She, you know. And I remarried 2 years later. And I got a letter from the Peace Corps that they needed somebody to go to this English-speaking country. It wasn't English-speaking, Liberia. And I accepted it. And I got married before I went there, second marriage, and she had 2 sons, and I had 2 daughters. So I couldn't take my daughters with me. Well, I didn't take them with me, but they could come. My younger daughter visited us over there, but I took her younger son, and we were there 2-year assignment, and that was a good experience with about 460 Peace Corps volunteers. And I was the associate director. They had a director and an associate director, and I got the position of associate director because I had got my BS degree from A&T State University. I was qualified for that job.
let's talk about your family, because you mentioned you're about to turn over 99 this year, but you've outlived a lot of people. You outlived two wives, but you still have. Talk about your children right now. Who are they?
Well,
And, yeah.
well,
'Cause-
my older daughter is not with us. She she smoked, and of course, I always would say smoking wasn't good for you, but she got cancer on her lung, and then when we thought she was recuperating and was finishing with that, it went to her head, and that took her out. She died when she was 59. But I had a younger daughter, 4 years younger, and she's still with me. And she's still here in Raleigh, and her family.
Her name.
She had twins, Angela Hines Brooks, because she lost her husband about 6 years ago. He was from Maryland. That she married after she got, because she was only 4 years old when we moved to Washington. And they had twins, a daughter and a son. And they had 2 children. Each one of them had 2 children. So, but my first daughter that died, she had a son and a daughter. And she had a son that had 3 children and a daughter that had 1 son. So those children are here now with us, and they have children themselves.
How many grandchildren and great grandchildren do you have? Can you add them all up?
I had 4 grand and lost 1 of my daughter, and then I have 11 grand. No, I had 4 grands, and I got 11 great grands.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. How would your children and your grand and great grandchildren describe you? How do you think they describe you?
Well, I have heard them say I was a good father.
Yeah.
I believe in disciplined children, as the Bible says so,
Yeah.
and loving them too. Discipline and loving them. And I had no problem with my children, and they all seem to think a lot of me. And I don't know what I'd do without them.
Right. You mentioned discipline according to the Bible. Talk about your faith a little bit here. How does your faith play a role in your life?
Well, I had a gentleman. No, it wasn't a gentleman. It was a young fellow. I was talking to 2 gentlemen when I was 95, and this was a question.
You were a young man then.
I was a young man, and there was a little boy with him. I guess he was about 7 years old, maybe 6.5 or something. And he waited right good until we got through talking. He walked around and he looked up at me, and he was short, and I was short too. He said, "How did you become 95?" I didn't know what to say. But I had to think. I had to do a long thinking. And I said, "Well, the Lord sure helped me." I told him, I said, "I tried to take care of myself, and the Lord did the rest." That's what I told him. And after I said it, I said, "Well, that wasn't a bad answer. That was the truth in a way. It was the truth in a way, because I didn't do it all by myself, And that's my faith. I believe there is someone greater than we are, and the Lord. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I'm now a trustee emeritus from my church. And when they say emeritus, that means you just don't have to pay dues.
Don't have to pay dues. All right.
But I still go, and I'm in the choir, mass choir. I thought I had a baritone voice, but I was singing with a group, and the director said, "You don't have no, you're a second tenor."
Second tenor.
So I've been singing second tenor ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about what you said to people and other people said about you. There was an article back in 2013 about you in the Raleigh News Observer, and you were working out at the Garner Senior Center, and a young lady saw you there, and then they ended up writing an article. But she was asking some of the same questions, and after reading that article, that said back then, and that was at least 6-7 years ago.
92 then.
Yeah, you were a young man, 92, and back then you said you worked out 3 times a week. You on the treadmill, you lift weights, and you do some other cardiovascular things. What are you still doing now? And is that one of your?
Well, I'm still doing it. Yeah, I couldn't stop. I can't stop now. I mean, if I feel like that got me where I am now,
You gonna
I'm going to
keep-
keep doing it.
Right.
Matter of fact, my doctor, when I went for a checkup, he said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
And since then, Nat Hines has moved, but he continues to work out, as we see here featured on ABC.
99 years old, and not even a pandemic can keep Nat Hines from working out.
The difficulties that I have been since this virus came out is the gym closing. And of course, I tried to manufacture ways of doing that exercise at home.
Hines used to go to the gym 3 days a week, but that all changed with COVID-19. And now after Governor Cooper's announcement to keep North Carolina in phase 2, he won't be back in the gym for at least another 5 weeks.
It don't make you feel good when you want to get in the gym. But in order to avoid getting that virus, I guess I'll just have to accept.
The World War II veteran says his military training and natural athletic ability has pushed him to keep moving. He even bought an exercise machine last month for his apartment.
Well, I try to do what I can at home and away when I'm away. Now, for instance, like this building here, when I get off the elevator, I do fast walking to my apartment. That helps keep my body active anyway, keep me from going into a decline. You know,
His advice for anyone who doesn't want to get up and go work out right now:
do what you can, and just don't give up. Because if you just decide, well, I done enough exercise in my lifetime, so I'm gonna quit. That's not a good idea. It becomes a habit to me now. It's a habit because if I don't go exercise, say for 3 or 4 days, I ask myself a question: what's wrong with you? And the answer I get is, you get out of here and go exercise. That's what's wrong.
Hines' 100th birthday is coming up in September, and however he's able to celebrate, it's safe to say a workout will be on the agenda. Reporting in Raleigh, Bridget Condon, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
There's a picture. See that picture on the wall over there? Mm-hmm. It'll come down if you want. Mm-hmm. We'll take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. And I worked on the treadmill. I didn't do much walking out in the street because I always thought I'd step on a rock or something and trip myself and fall. So I'd get on the treadmill and I'd go speed point with 3.5, elevation 3.5. Mm-hmm. I was going 6 miles, and I cut it back to 5, 3, 2. And my conscience said, you don't have to do all that. And I cut it back to 1.5 miles. So that's what I do now when I go. I'll do 1.5 miles on the treadmill at the same speed, but it's not as far.
Now, the article also mentioned, and I know because you and I are former neighbors here, that you had your Mazda Miata, your convertible car, and I think you don't have that anymore now, do you?
No, I have it in that picture over there. That's in 92 there.
Yeah.
And I think that article you were talking about is in there too. Yeah. On there.
Yeah.
I was riding down the street one day and I saw a Mitsubishi. Uh-huh. And I thought about I wasn't getting any younger. And I also thought, I said, if I leave this car with my grandkids, they're going to think it's going to fly. Right. And they'll drive it just as fast as it'll go. Right. And I said, I think I'll just change this car. I said, I've got 14 years of it. I kept it for 14 years. Yeah. And I got the Mitsubishi. But I didn't like it. Yeah. I got it, but I didn't like it.
You still a young man at heart. The article also mentioned, though, that one of the things, I think you said back when you were really young, about 81, that you were feeling pretty bad and you went to the doctor and they immediately resulted in a quadruple bypass surgery. And
that was in 2001. I think it was 2001. Mm-hmm. 2009. 2009, I think it was. I worked with the tax after I got out of federal government and retired from there and came here and worked for the state for a while. I did some part-time work with the revenue department. Mm-hmm. And I worked that afternoon, half a day I believe it was. And I walked to my car. I had a Miata at that time, Miata. I was out of breath. Mm-hmm. So I told my daughter and those about it, and they said, "What didn't it call us?" I said, "No, I'm going straight to the hospital." So I got in my car and I drove to Rex Hospital, and that's what they found. They found that I had a blockage of my arteries, and when they got in, they found 2 more blockage, so it was a quadruple. But Had open heart surgery, recuperated. Had another pain in my chest, and I went back. They said, well, it didn't come from your heart, something else. So I haven't had any problems since.
Any problems?
I go just like I never had it.
Right. Isn't that something? You have outlived 2 wives, a lot of brothers and sisters, even some of your own kids. And you are still thriving. What would you say? We've talked about your outlook and some of the things, but what would you say is your secret to your longevity and your positive attitude here and your good health? I mean, how would you summarize that?
I know one of them is I don't worry. Take life as it comes. You know, I don't worry about tomorrow, as you say. And I found out that exercise, once you start and it gets into your system, you can't give it up, because I think that has a lot to do with longevity. I think the body is supposed to move. It's not supposed to just sit. Because in order for that blood circulation to go, you got to be doing something to make it move. You know. So that's why I probably never stop exercising unless if I get crippled or something. I have to stop. But and you feel better. You feel better. You sleep better.
Yeah.
You know. I don't have a pain in my body right now.
That's a blessing. What about diet? Have we talked to them about what you
I've
eat?
been on fish and chicken and turkey for a few years. I do have high blood, the doctor says, but sometimes I wonder if I do. But I guess I do. Because the doctor wants you to come back.
That's right.
He got to make money. I mean, they think so. And sometimes I want to give it up, but I said no. He said whatever I was doing, keep doing it. So I'm going to do that. So I'll go back and let him check me out. But I think exercise is 50% of longevity.
Now let's talk about as we concluded, some of the principles that you may live by. What would you say was the best time in your life and why?
I guess when I was in school at A&T, really, because I had a wife, 2 children there, and we seemed to be doing good. We weren't doing excellent, but we were doing good. And we got to learn a lot from that atmosphere and experience there. The children were learning too, and so I think that was one of my most advantaged times, is the matriculation through college. And
with your family?
With my family.
What is the motto that you live by? You talked about several things already, but is there a certain motto that you live by? You said you didn't worry.
My motto is, don't give up exercising.
Okay.
And drink what you need and eat what you need and not what you want. Yeah. Because if you get what you want, you're going to get some of the wrong things.
Right.
And keep busy doing something. Keep your mind busy. Reading, exercising, or something, doing something. And helping others is another thing. I'm helping a gentleman now in my church to deliver food to senior citizens.
Everybody younger than you.
Right.
What legacy do you want to leave, Mr. Hines?
I want to be said about me when I'm off the scene of this life that I tried to treat everybody right, tried to be friendly, and tried to show love to my fellow man, and tried to give them some advice if they ask me. I don't go around trying to tell people what to do unless they ask me. And I just say that, well done, good and faithful servant. We've been.
What do you think your purpose was in this life and is? And have you done it?
I think I've done part of it. I don't think I've done it all. I think my purpose was to help others, really, because I help people and they always want to give me money. I said, I don't want no money. I said, you know, hear those saying, I'm sending up timbers. I pick up a person and take them somewhere, and they said, well, here's a couple of dollars. I said, no, I didn't ask you for no money. I'm not going to ask for no money because I want to help you. I said, you want to get certain points, I want to take you there. If I'm going that way too. You know. But that's one thing, I guess. I don't know. I guess I've never been. You have to have money to live in this economy, you know. But that shouldn't be your main purpose, you know. To live to make money and eat, you know, live to eat or not, and eat to live, not to live to eat.
Right. You talked about some things you eat. I guess the assumption is you stay away from those other things that you didn't mention, right? So, is there certain things you definitely stay away from eating or drinking?
Well, I used to eat all kinds of meats and things, but I stick with fish, chicken, and turkey now because they're not as fatty as pork. Once in a while I'll eat a little pork, but not very seldom. I haven't had any pork and I don't know when.
What about sleep? How much sleep you
Well,
get?
you need to get some sleep, you know. I got a daughter now, said she can't sleep at night. That's because she worked in the night and she can't sleep. I said, cut your TV off and count to 100 backwards and see if you don't fall asleep. Or try to start reading the Bible. The devil will put you to sleep.
So, what is you mentioned you're doing some things right now, but what is your typical day like now?
Well, I try to get in my about a couple hours of exercise, and there's certain days I try to do that so I won't run into collusion with something else. On Fridays, I go with my friend to deliver food to help people for the seniors. And now he tells me that the day is Friday. That's where I'm supposed to be right now, getting ready to go do that. But he said this is a day that we're not going to. Spring and summer is short. They do it every other Friday. So that helped me also because I'm going out of town in the morning. But I try to keep myself busy doing something. If I'm sitting here doing nothing, I get up and go somewhere and maybe go to the library or something like that.
What advice would you give? You said something earlier about, you don't have to have, you need money to operate and to live. But what advice would you give others about finances?
Well, I've already told my family and my grandkids, save some money. If you're making $10, save $1 anyway. And if I had my life to live over, I would. I'd probably be in the stock market.
Why is that?
Because in the stock market, not because I think I'm going to win something out of the stock market. I think because if you invest in there, you're bound to
reap something.
Yeah, and stay in it. Because I had him working with a white gentleman. Every paycheck he got, he put half of it into this. To something. I mean, he saved it. He saved it somewhere. Yeah. Of course, he lived with his mother, and I guess he didn't have no rent to pay. But I would do things a little different if I had my life to live over. I'd be sure that my life would not be for want after I'm retired from my job. I'd invest my money into something.
So you've made a pretty good investment in this place. You and I were neighbors for some time, man. You cashing in and you moving on to a different place now. You want to talk about that? You've been living on your own in your own townhouse here now for how many
32
years?
32
years.
This past May was 32 years.
Yeah. And you decided to, I would say this area is being gentrified now.
Oh, yeah.
And You want to talk about
Well,
that?
they wanted us to. They said that this land in front of here and roundabout, they're going to put $3,000 or $4,000 homes there, and they wanted us to upgrade ours to match that.
Right.
And I thought it was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So I had been getting letters for people wanting to buy, not only in Raleigh but out of Raleigh. And so I got, instead of investing in this, and then I thought I'd leave this for my granddaughter. She's in the cosmetology. Mm-hmm. And I found out that since I don't have a way of people parking and getting around the building, that wasn't the thing that I should have had on mine, because if I was going to do that, I should have got one on the front.
Oh, yeah.
But I got one back here. And I told her that. So she's working in Washington.
Oh,
now.
is she?
Yeah.
It's the same granddaughter, I think, that leased my place at one time, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I want you to finish this sentence, Mr. Hines. If you're talking to somebody else and they say, if you want to live for at least 99 years, all you have to do is what?
Follow the golden rule. Take care of yourself.
And you've done a great job at that.
Yeah.
Mr. Hines, what would you like to share with people that we haven't talked about here? What would you like people to know about you that we haven't talked about?
I hear people, especially most people I come in contact with, that they don't believe there's a greater being than us. They think our decision is the last decision to be made. I tell them to find a good Bible studying church and read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find out that if you live that kind of life, even that tells you long life is promised to you. Mm-hmm. Obey your father and your mother, that your days may be long, and the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So that's what I tried to do.
Amen. Well, it's been my pleasure to know you and to talk with you, and thank you for sharing this wisdom. Mm-hmm. And Godspeed to you, and I hope I can live and be in the kind of shape you are, and I guess I'm another 40 years.
Well, I tell you, like a gentleman, I can run a mile if you let me walk back.
Okay. We've been talking with Nathaniel Hines, who is 99 this year. And in 2020, he will be 100. And I hope that this conversation has been a blessing to you as it has been to me. And that his legacy will live on forever. Nathaniel Hines, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I was born in September 28, 1920. Never thought I would bypass my grandfather. 96, I said, that's 99. Try to stay active, keep the body active.
He's dedicated. He was here when it's cold, when it's hot, when it's raining, when most of us don't want to get up and come work out.
I asked him one time if could they open up at 7, but they said no, the government won't let them do it.
And every now and then we'll have somebody that's new that has met him, and they'll come up, did you know that man's 99 and he's killing it in the fitness room?
I can be at home, and if I haven't exercised, I say I'm going to put it off until tomorrow. That little voice will come and say, you get out of here and go exercise. I don't know where the voice is coming from, but that's what I hear something, but it's not vocal, but I can hear. And I just get up and go exercise. The arthritis in my back like this. About 3 months of exercise. It went away and I didn't even know it. Go to the big machine over here. 10 of these. My service, I went to Germany, went in after Big Invasion there in France. And as soon as the war ended there, we thought we were coming home. No, they sent us over to Japan. We went there to fight, but we didn't have to fight. The atomic bomb dropped while we were on the way, and that ended the war. It's about 5 minutes to do one lap. They got to get started.
They got to move, get off of that seat. I used to do the 10 pound, then I went to the 12. And I just have a belief that there's a higher being than man, you know. And so I think if I keep that belief, I think I'll do all right. That's it. Yeah.